Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister.
Oh dear.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister.
Okay, so Prime Minister of Canada Justin Trudeau has announced that he is resigning, and that's what we're going to be looking at in today's video. We're going to be taking a look at some of our happiest, gayest memories of his 9 years in office.
I will never apologize for standing up for an LGBTQ2+ kids' rights.
Who's Daniel Boland? Oh, Daniel Boland, this is a heavy hitter. Do you guys know who this is?
But I want to make a bit of a broader point in today's video. There's always a broader point in my videos. And that is that I feel Justin Trudeau's resignation is just another moment in this chain of happy events, which started with Donald Trump's re-election in the US.
Nobody's better to people with disabilities than me.
Now, whatever you think about Trump, I'm seeing a lot of positive things happening in the world. We're making lots of steps forward. I feel like Justin Trudeau's resignation is a giant leap for mankind.
We like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind.
You're not the man for the job.
Now, you may see no relation between those two events, but it does feel to me as though nature is healing, right? That's the thing the kids say nowadays in memes.
Yes, that's right.
Well, maybe that's not exactly the term. Maybe it's not healing, but we're definitely in a better place than we were a couple of years ago at the height of the pandemic.
When leaders are faced with citizens' anxiety, we have a choice to make. Do we exploit that anxiety, or do we allay it? Because a fair and successful world is a peaceful one.
When these technocratic nerds, these total psychos like Justin Trudeau were trying wholeheartedly to destroy everybody's lives. And it really, there's no other way to look at it. So, fuck off if you're going to tell me otherwise.
We believe we should confront anxiety with a clear plan to deal with its root causes. And we believe we should bring people together around shared purposes, because what is the alternative? To exploit anxiety? To turn it into fear and blame? To reject others because they look or speak or pray differently than we do?
And I remember at the time what it felt like.
Hey everybody, an old man's talking.
That battle of ideas, it really felt like the governments and these bastard overlords were really trying to wrestle away the power from sort of social media, I guess. Independent voices.
Very strong political statement.
Every single day, we need to choose hope over fear, diversity over division.
And I feel cliched saying any of this because it's all been said, I know. But it does feel great. Honestly, it feels great to have a billionaire like Elon Musk intervening in world politics now, rather than a George Soros, Bill Gates, creepy, disgusting, subversive nerd. Thanks to Elon Musk and the way he intervenes, the way this billionaire intervenes in world politics, people like Justin Trudeau in Canada or Keir Starmer in the UK can no longer just control the narrative and sweep stories under the rug and threaten to imprison people, because this billionaire isn't doing psyops in the background, hoping to engineer society over the next 20 years by saying this and that and planting this idea. He's just going on X and calling you all pedo defenders to your face. And the only way you can stop this avalanche of people and criticism is to change course radically or come out and defend what you're doing very, very convincingly. And of course, people like Justin Trudeau, who are only in politics basically because he's kind of good looking and he's got the cachet of his father's surname. I say his father.
Her approach to motherhood, like her approach to most things, is an odd mixture of naive wisdom and amazing short-sightedness. She sees her 3 sons, Justin, Sasha and Michelle, for 5 days every 2 weeks.
You know, sometimes I'm cross with them, but I'm always loving to them.
Do you think that what you've done, choosing the sort of life that you've chosen to lead, is going to make things very, very difficult for your children?
You know, I think it's going to make it wonderful for them. So far, they think Mummy's wonderful. Don't you think it's about time we redefined human relationships? Haven't we really messed up a lot of people's lives with our old-fashioned values, our old-fashioned bonds? You know, aren't we in the generation that should practice what we preach? You know.
Is there a love in your life at the moment?
Oh, yes.
How many?
How many? Is there a love in my life? How many?
Well, is there a man in your life? A special man in your life?
Yes.
Any hints?
No.
Somebody will find out sooner or later, won't
Sure.
they? Does that bother you that you don't have a private life, whether you like it or not?
Right now I do, and I love it.
How long do you think that will last?
And I don't care. Yes.
Reading things about you, and even reading your book, it's very easy to get the impression that you're preoccupied with relationships.
Yes, boy crazy.
God only knows. The point is, though, people like Justin Trudeau, who, I know it's an overused term, they are narcissists. The only reason they went into politics, people like Justin Trudeau go into politics to feed their own ego. They're not trying to make Canada a better place. They're not trying to make the world a better place. They just want to feel better about themselves. And that's just the way it is.
Hey, boys.
And then there's people like Keir Starmer, the slimy civil servant types who, God, I don't know how he became Prime Minister, but there he is.
Because Black Lives Matter.
They are not going to stand up to the scrutiny of a world of free speech. They're just not going to be able to do it.
Your government continues to support mask mandates in the House of Commons and in federally regulated places like airports, for example. But it appears that you wear a mask inconsistently and depending on different situations. The Ontario government is lifting the remaining mask mandates very shortly. Do you still believe that a mask mandate should be in place, and if so, in what types of situations?
First of all...
and you can call it misinformation, you can call it whatever you like. The fact is, leaders now, world leaders, are going to have to either be incredibly charismatic and funny and witty and just be able to have the gift of the gab, or they're going to have to be 100% honest about everything that they do. Because that's the only way you're going to convince enough people now. And I think, personally, that's a good thing.
And we know that 40 years ago, your father famously took a walk in the snow when the Conservatives were up in the polls and decided it was time to give it up. It's snowing out there now.
When my father was my age, he still had a dozen years of prime ministering ahead of him.
Oh my God. Another dozen years?
Good God, no.
I think Pierre Poilievre is at 99% in the polls. Do you think you can do this?
Yes.
Why?
Right now, we're in a moment where everything is difficult, And Pierre Poilievre is trying to convince Canadians not to believe in themselves, not to believe in the CBC, not to believe in climate change, not believe in gun control, not believe in women's rights. I believe Canadians rise to the occasion, and I am certainly not going to stop fighting at this moment where it's so important.
Yes, beautiful. You know who you remind me of? Mike Tyson. I kid.
The quote was about protests in general. It was something like, we have a vibrant democracy here in Canada and we value protests, but it was something like, but when you use protest to protest, to object to the policies of the government, I think you're going too far.
Yeah, I think we have a robust functioning democracy, and public protests are an important part of making sure we're getting messages out there, and Canadians are getting messages out there and highlighting how they feel about various issues. But using protests to demand changes to public policy is something that I think is worrisome.
Okay.
Well, what the fuck is protest for, except to object to the policies of the government?
It was quite shocking, everything that happened in that protest, because they seized the bank accounts of 200 Canadians, and that was not amusing. And Trudeau has no idea what that did to Canada's international reputation. That was not a good precedent.
Okay, wait, go back.
Mm-hmm.
They seized the bank accounts of what, people who were in the protest?
They seized some bank accounts of some people who only sent money to the protest, like through Give, Send, Go, and GoFundMe and so forth.
We're entering the third week of illegal blockades that have been disrupting the lives of too many Canadians. Occupying streets, harassing people, breaking the law. This is not a peaceful protest. The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations. The police will be given more tools to restore order in places where public assemblies can constitute illegal and dangerous activities. The government will designate, secure, and protect border crossings and airports. Financial institutions will be authorized or directed to render essential services by regulating and prohibiting the use of property to fund or support illegal blockades. We're not using the Emergencies Act to call in the military. We are not limiting people's freedom of speech. We are not preventing people from exercising their right to protest. We are reinforcing the principles, values, and institutions that keep all Canadians free.
So,
oh, I see.
Yeah. So you didn't even have to be at the protest.
When you say seized, they froze it. They didn't take their money. They just froze it. So they
froze their credit cards. They froze their mortgage payments. They locked them out. So they locked them out of the financial system entirely.
That is creepy.
It's really bad. In fact, one of the banks actually apologized. There's 5 big banks in Canada, and one of them actually apologized for doing it eventually. They all should have apologized, but one did. Yeah, it was really bad. It was shocking. Canadians aren't sufficiently shocked about it, partly because they don't really understand what that did to Canada's international reputation. But it was absolutely, I can't imagine a politician doing anything more inappropriate than that. Right? No trial, no real investigation. Plus, Trudeau claimed that the trucker convoy was financed by MAGA, Republican Americans, which is completely preposterous because, first of all, why would MAGA Republican Americans foment dissent in Ottawa? Like, even if they knew where it was, which they don't, and they don't care, and why would they? And so, first of all, it was the Russians. It's like, oh yes, that's the Russians' primary concern. And then it was like literally MAGA Republican Americans funding the trucker protests in Ottawa.
All right, so I don't want to end on a negative note, and I think it's time to start wrapping this video up a little bit. But we're gonna look to the future. I'm gonna give my hot take on who I think could be the future of Canada and their politics, right? These are my 2 ideal candidates. One of them, I think you'll all agree, is the greatest guy in Canada and the greatest Canadian I've ever seen, Mr. Jagmeet Singh.
I can just hold her like this, don't I?
This is amazing, the multitasking. Yeah. This is impressive.
It'll be good.
It'll put you at a disadvantage though in this as I question you, or maybe you'll be.
People will be more like sympathetic to me.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have to have a mic.
It's like almost like she's like a beautiful political prop almost.
Yeah. Oh. But there's pressure. She's got to hush up now, or else we'll think maybe you're not helping the situation. Okay.
Hi there, Mr. Singh. Thanks for taking our questions. You've talked a lot about the cost of living crisis in this country and how Canadians are struggling. I'm sure many students in this room are.
Wow, you can just smell the sincerity oozing from each and every one of Jagmeet Singh's sweaty paws. Sweaty with sincerity. He'd be a real palate cleanser, I feel, after 9 years of Trudeau. Or I've got my number one candidate, who's a bit of a long shot, I'll admit it, but they say things go in threes. We've had Pierre, we've had Justine. I think it's time for Sophie Trudeau.
Right? So I'm going to sing for you tonight.
Boom, ba-dum.
So clear and so bright.
Boom, ba-dum.
What's the next line? Forget his selfies.
Boom, ba-dum.
Where did it ever go wrong for old Justin and his estranged wife, Sophie Guerrois? They made such a cute couple. About as cute as Jimmy Savile and one of his corpse brides. But I guess that's, for another video when I, talk about all the things the UK government have been covering up. Oh, I'm going to give my hot takes on all the things that everyone's already decided are horrific in upcoming videos as I, seek to undermine world leaders and whatever. That's the new direction this channel's going in. I think we're gonna upset the apple cart a little bit. Bloody mental. Anyway, if you've enjoyed tonight's video, give it a like. If you want to tell me anything about it, let me know in the comments. That'll help out with the algorithm. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. What the hell are you doing if you've been here for nearly 20 minutes listening to me? And yeah, if you want to get any extra content, the link to my Patreon is in the description under this video. And you'd be really doing me a favor. Thanks to everyone who's already on there already. It's a late one tonight. I'll see you in the next one.
Because I have heard my fellow human beings and friends here today sing. This is not planned, trust me. I'm going to step up. Yes, and I'm going to sing you a song that I wrote for my daughter, Ella Grace. At a moment where I was going through a difficult time and where I remind myself of all the hope that there is in one's life and all the hope that there is in love and helping out each other. And it's called Smile Back at Me. And it goes like this. Some people doubt that angel...
Dad, I think I am racist.
Nothing wrong with that, Simba.
But Scar said that we are all born equal.
Oh, your uncle identifies as they slash them.
Slash who?
What I'm saying is that your uncle is gay, Simba.